Welcome back to Planning in the South. So, we made a whole video and only half of our audio recorded. Yay! So, hence, this outfit does not match the outfit in the video because I wasn't going to try to fake it that hard because my hair is completely different thanks to my amazing hair girl yesterday. So, today, a couple days ago, we made the game day plan from our Reader's Top Rated Recipes book. And so this was episode 6, and sadly this will be our last episode in this series. We're gonna do something a little bit different. I don't know what yet, but I just feel like this was stifling my creativity. I have so much more to make, plant-based, non-plant-based. We'll just get into doing that, but this was really fun. So we did game day plan for this one. So we did a game day chili, so good. The best chili I have ever made. Super simple too. Does take a while to cook, but if you have a Saturday or a Sunday afternoon to throw it on and just let it sit, that's what it did. So easy. Next thing we made was a beer bread. I was very skeptical of this 3-ingredient bread made with a can of beer, but it was excellent. It had a great texture. The outside was nice and crunchy, almost like a Cheddar Bay biscuit from Red Lobster, but the inside was nice and crumbly like cornbread. So it was easy to crumble over your chili, or you could also scoop it and dip it. Then the last thing we made, the holidays, it's been a trying time around here, so we made the dessert this week. We made a chocolate glazed brownie with pecans because all brownies are better when they have some type of nut in them, okay? So the first half of this video is gonna be a voiceover, okay? So just bear with me. And I took my face out because nobody wants to see words and lips that do not match. My biggest pet peeve. But you get the gist. You can see how to make the chili. And then when we pick up with the bread and the brownie, we're all back to normal magically. So hopefully you enjoy this one. So the first thing we're going to do here is we're going to brown down a whole white onion. So just get your pot nice and hot. Get your little oil in the bottom of it. And then just throw that whole onion in there. We want to get it nice and soft for our chili. We don't want any hard onion in our chili. And once we have our onions nice and soft, we're going to throw in a little bit of garlic. And you know I'm not chopping garlic, so just a tablespoon of garlic from a jar. And so we are still a plant-based channel. We might do some other things, but we are going to go ahead and use our Impossible ground beef. Go ahead and get 2 pounds of that for our chili tonight. I've got them defrosted. I'm defrosted in the microwave, and it's just fine. Just throw them in there so they can brown down. So now that we have our ground beef and our onions and our garlic all cooked up, we are going to put in the rest of the ingredients of our chili. So first thing, controversy coming. We are gonna put beans in our chili. So I've got a can of pinto beans here. You can also do kidney beans, any type of bean you like. You can put them in chili. The recipe does call for 2 cans, but you know, 1 can's plenty for me. And they are going to taste so good. All right, the next thing we need, again, we're going to need a beer, okay? Any type of beer will work. I have a Modelo in my fridge. I don't like Modelo. I'm glad it's going in this chili, okay? So that Modelo is going to taste just fine in this chili. But any beer you have will be just fine, okay? Don't make a special run to the beer store to get one. Okay, and hopefully you're not in Arkansas and it's Sunday because you're not going to be able to make this recipe. Next thing, back to some normal stuff, we're going to have some tomato paste. So just 1 little 6-ounce jar of that tomato paste there. And make sure you get all of it out because we bought it and we're going to use it. Now we're going to add 2 cans of tomato sauce. Next you're going to add 1 can of chopped green chilies. Don't worry, it's not spicy, and you really don't even see them. Add in a little bit of Worcestershire, probably about a tablespoon or so. I added a little more because I do like it. Now here we have about 8 ounces of beef broth. I just had the little cubes, so I just put that in some water and mixed it up. But if you have the can or the carton, about 8 ounces or so of beef broth. And now for our spices. So we're going to add in some paprika, a good amount of paprika. I like paprika. Then a little bit of red pepper or cayenne pepper. This one you can make it as spicy or as mild as you want it. Mine's pretty mild. Add in some cumin, some ground cumin there. And lastly, we're going to add in a little bit of chili powder. I added a good amount of chili powder in there. I like the flavor that it gives it. I'm just going to stir all that up.
Get it nice and mixed in. Make sure that all of my onions and garlic comes off the bottom. Now I'm going to set this on the stove here, let it cook on low, total about 2.5 hours, less or more depending on how thick you want your chili to be.
Our chili has been on the stove simmering for just over an hour now. It smells so good, so let's go ahead and get started making our beer bread. So here I have 3 cups of self-rising flour. Very important that you do self-rising flour. So 3 cups of self-rising flour in the bowl here. Next we're gonna add a 1/4 cup of sugar. So 1/4 cup of sugar in there. And then now we're just gonna add another beer. So hopefully you have lots of beer in your fridge for this meal. So we had 1 beer in our chili, and that was just a regular Modelo, and all we have left is a Modelo Oro, and it said a light beer on this bread, so Modelo Oro it is. I don't know how people drink these things. So add that in there, but you know, with only 3 ingredients, this bread seems relatively simple, so hopefully it turns out. We've made bread on here before, and it turned out for us, so hopefully we get lucky a second time. So I'm just gonna mix that all in there, and I'm really hoping that something while this bread is baking makes it not smell like beer when it comes out. That is the only thing I can hope right now. So I'm gonna get this all mixed up, and then I'm gonna put it into my, it said bread pan. I don't know if I have a bread pan or not, but I had a meatloaf pan that looked just like a loaf of bread, so I will get that greased up and get that put in here. So I've got my dough all mixed up. I made sure that there's no little clumps of flour left in there. You know, sometimes the flour will just kind of stay in clumps in the middle. So now I have a lightly greased, we're calling it a bread pan. And I'm just going to get my dough to roll all in there. I'm gonna scrape all the sides off. I'm just spreading that out in my pan a little bit. You know, I see on TikTok, I don't know how I got on the sourdough baking side of TikTok, because I am not about to do a sourdough starter. Lord, my dogs are enough for me to remember to feed every day. I do not need to feed something growing on my counter. So I'm not making this aesthetic. So if that's what you're looking for, plenty of TikToks on how to do sourdough and make it aesthetic. This is beer bread made with Modelo for chili on game day. So this is what mine looks like going into a pan. It has the resemblance of a Cheddar Bay biscuit from Red Lobster. So if we have any type of taste like that, I'm gonna be really excited because everybody knows we love those. But I think it's just gonna be a real basic loaf of bread. And guess what? If it doesn't turn out, I always got Jiffy in the box in there. All right, so oven is going to be on 375. Anyone with LG appliances knows that was it telling me that it's at 375. So if you're ever looking for appliances that sing to you, all of them, buy an LG. If you don't like that, don't buy an LG. So in the oven, 375 it goes. It's gonna bake for about 55 minutes. I am gonna have to be checking it, of course, because I get really nervous with bread for some reason, but I'm sure it'll be fine. So chili still simmering on the stove. We have our beer bread in the oven. It's got just a little bit of time left. And now we're gonna go ahead and get started on our brownies. So first thing we need to do is to melt, let's say about 2/3 a cup of butter or margarine. So I am using the Country Crock plant-based butter, olive oil butter. I like it, really can't tell that much of a difference. Same price as the rest of the stuff. So we're gonna get that on the stove. We want this over a pretty high heat. So get that melting. Next thing you're gonna add in there is 1 cup of white sugar. Any sugar. If I had brown sugar, I'd use it too, and it'd be just fine. So sugar. And then a 1/4 cup of water. So put that 1/4 cup of water in there. And really just wanna put this on high heat so that we can get that all melted together. So with this, sugar burns so quickly and so easily. You wanna make sure that you're stirring it constantly until all of your sugar is melted, and you want all your butter to be melted. Like I said, just make sure, because we do have this on high heat, make sure you are stirring constantly so that you don't let it burn on your pan. It's a pain to clean, and it's ruined, so you're gonna have to start all the way over. So my sugar and my butter is melted down. It is bubbling. And so now I'm going to add in 2 cups, or if you get the Nestle Toll House, it's gonna be the whole bag of the chocolate chips. And any stragglers, those are for you to take. You're working hard. And we just wanna get this chocolate melted. Okay, so my chocolate mixture is nice and smooth. And now I am just going to pour it into a bowl so that it can sit and cool. And it's gonna take about 15 minutes for that to happen. And if you see the smoke back there, yeah, I got a little chocolate on my oven. It happens. It'll clean right up once it cools down. It won't be any problem. But make sure you get all of that good chocolatey mixture out of your pan, because what do we say? We paid for it, we're gonna use it. So our beer bread has come out of the oven. It looks and smells really good. So it doesn't smell like beer. Yay, I think I'm gonna be able to eat it. But it definitely does kind of have that biscuit top. It is very, very crunchy on top, but I've stuck a knife in it and it is like nice and soft and moist down in the center. But I do like the way that top looks. I mean, it, like I said, you can hear it on my nails here. So it looks really, really good. We'll see how it tastes when we get our plates ready. Our chocolate mixture has cooled, so we have it in a bowl here, they're cooling, and now we're just gonna add the rest of the ingredients here. So now we're gonna add a 1.5 cups of flour. Do 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda. And most things, you know, I just eyeball it. Baking, do what it says. Okay, 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda and 1/2 teaspoon of salt. 4 large eggs. So we have our 4 eggs in, and now we are just going to stir it all up. If you have a hand mixer, probably best and probably easier. I do not have a hand mixer, I do not think. So I'm gonna be using a whisk. So it's gonna take me a minute. So y'all just give me a minute to get this all mixed up. So we have that all mixed up. Good thing I go to the gym because it took a little bit of arm muscles. But like I said, if you have a hand mixer, just use that. But it looks like a batter, feels like a batter, smells like a batter. Now, I'm gonna make some people mad, but pecans go in brownies. So I have 1 cup of chopped pecans here. And I'm just gonna throw those in. And then, again, get my muscles out and mix them all in there. Already makes it look 10 times better having those pecans added in there. It says 9 by 13 greased and floured pan, but if y'all been here for a while, you know I have no idea what pan sizes these are because, again, it doesn't say it anywhere. So, I've got a pan about this size. You put them in whatever size you want. And I am just going to spoon my mixture out. And y'all know, you get every bit out of that bowl. We paid for it, we're gonna use it. Let's see. I might leave a little in there. You know, everybody wants to lift the bowl a little bit. Okay, but pretty clean bowl. So on the depth, they're about half of the depth of the pan, which I like, so they're gonna rise. But then it also means that they're not gonna take forever to cook and still be gummy in the middle. So now, these are going to go in my oven. It is at 325 and they're gonna cook for about 30 minutes. But again, that all depends on your pan size and the thickness of your brownies. But we're gonna check probably about 20 minutes. We'll check and then see, but I think it's gonna take the whole 30 minutes. All right, so our supper is done. So we have our chili here, have it in these nice little bowls, and it smells so, so good. You can see everything in there, your beans, your ground beef, your onions, all of it. And like I said, it smells good and it tastes so good too. Of course, I've been tasting along the way. And then our beer bread turned out, look at that. That is a beautiful piece of bread there. Nice and crunchy on the outside, but pretty soft on the inside. Like, it's pretty perfect to just take it and kind of crumble it over the top of your chili, which is what I like to do. Or if you want to, it's also stiff enough that you can take a piece from the bottom or the top and dip it as well, and it's so, so good. So all I'm gonna do to this is add a little cheese because cheese goes on chili, and then I will eat my supper. Brownies are almost done, so we can eat up, get this done, and then our brownies will be ready when we're done. Okay, so brownies are done, and the dog wants you to know that the brownies are done. They rose nicely in the pan. They doubled in size just about. I stuck a toothpick in there, nothing's coming out. So now all we're gonna do to the top of them is we are gonna add another round of chocolate chips. So I'm just gonna sprinkle these across here. Probably gonna do 8 ounces or so of chocolate chips. So just sprinkle those across, and I'm gonna leave them in this pan. So leave everything in this pan here so that these can get melted over the top, so it'll be super chocolatey. And then once they melt, so I'm gonna leave them here about 5 minutes or so. Once they melt, then I will take it and put it on a wire rack to cool completely so that we can enjoy it later tonight. All right, so we have our chocolate chips that have melted on the top of our brownies. So now I'm just gonna take a butter knife and I'm just gonna spread those out. They are nice and melted, and they look nice and pretty. And yes, one of my little helpers that's normally in the kitchen with me is making a racket in the background because he can't help me for the next couple weeks. And he is not happy about it, obviously. So have that nice and spread out there. Depending on how much chocolate you want on top, that's how many chocolate chips you want thrown on top. I didn't think that it needed a ton of icing, so that's why I only put the amount I did. And now I'm just gonna pop this out of the tin so that it can be cooling on a wire rack. So I'm gonna utilize the same wire rack that I have my loaf of bread on here. I'm just gonna throw it on there. So we're honest here. I really don't know how you're supposed to get this out of the pan. So it's just gonna cool in this pan on a wire rack, just like that. And it'll be fine. So overall, really good supper.